Welcome to the Gathering Greenhouse, a podcast to help us grow together.
What up?
Welcome,
Hi.
David.
Hi.
And welcome, John.
Hi.
And whoever that is back
Hey, Matt.
behind.
How was your weekend?
Yeah. Did anything? No.
Normal.
Did anything
What
significant happen?
Pretty normal, nothing new.
On the weekend.
I hope Laura is not watching
but
this right now.
during the week. Yes.
Oh,
That's
okay,
a
I
good
see what you're
point.
saying.
That's a good point.
What happened during the
Thursday?
week?
Yeah.
What happened Thursday, Matt?
I got engaged.
I would have
Matt
still
got
thought that would have made his
engaged.
weekend better.
Yeah.
Right? I still think
Thursday was great. but Friday,
Thursday was biggest day of my
He's
life.
early on in the
Weekend,
process.
right back to normal.
Well, yeah, because Thursday's
So-
not
okay.
the weekend.
In
Actually-
what are you engaged?
What do you mean?
This I actually scheduled a bunch of
What are you
podcast
engaged
questions
with?
to help John with or help Matt with marriage. So we're just going to go over all the need
engaged
to
to be
know.
married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt's getting married, everybody. Da, dun, da, 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 dun, da, da. Do you know that song's about a prostitute?
Okay. John's derailing us already.
Maybe
Five
record
minutes in.
time.
5 minutes in. or
Record
less.
time.
3 minutes in.
Colored bars going across the screen.
All right. And
Well,
we're back.
I don't know. I don't. Is that? But they're in the Bible too. You know.
Color
So
bars.
okay, we should not continue talking about this.
What's in the Bible, Steve?
I don't know, John. You would know better than me. Okay,
'cause I've
so
read
we're gonna start out here this morning with David's favorite thing is trying some of these snacks that we have. So for those of you who are just joining us today, the youth group is in the middle of one of the most important things going on in the gathering, except for maybe
Wow.
Romans. I don't know.
Okay.
Could be. You know, it's like
Poor John.
they're determining what the best snack chip is.
Did you know I mentioned you in the sermon?
Yeah, he told everybody I was going to poison the coffee.
Because like but right when I started to tell the story, you left.
Like the whole for the whole church?
You like walked out like right before I got to that part of the sermon.
So I didn't even know it was in the sermon until I watched it later. But like, I had people all morning telling me, making jokes to me about poisoning coffee, and I had no idea why I was getting these jokes about poisoning coffee. And it made me kind of want to actually
I want to
poison
see you
coffee.
try to put your hand in there.
My hand doesn't fit in there. Let me see you do it now.
I could probably get to there. Look at this. Say sometimes being small pays off.
You know, there's the Seinfeld episode with the girl who has man hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just leaving it right there.
Pringles.
God made me just the way I'm supposed to be. Do you want some? Because
So, weirdly, last time I had junk food, it actually made me sick. So
What?
I think he's
I'm not-
trying to get
Weirdly,
a
you
tuck
got sick
size
from
down.
junk food.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I eat more junk food than anyone else in this room.
Matt, did you drink the coffee?
Oh no! They're touching. Don't defile.
Oops, my bad.
How dare you put some flavor on this plain Pringle?
I
Throwing that, John.
Had
with the unclean.
Doritos
We
and
start
I was
with the
sick.
Pringle because you don't want to go the other way around. But so for those of you who are
Wait,
watching,
is this the semifinal?
this is a semifinal.
We
here.
already know how the youth group voted, right?
Well,
And I'm assuming they voted wrong.
I don't know how the youth group voted. That's a good question.
Andrew!
That would have been a good one to ask.
somebody slack him.
Yes, message him real quick. So, the reason we're trying these is because this is what made it to the next round. So Pringles and Cool Ranch are going head to head here.
But there's only like 4 left, right? So the winner here
There's
is in
4
the
left.
final.
Yeah. So we have Cool Ranch Doritos, Pringles, Flaming Hot Cheetos, and Takis. That's how you say it.
Well, I actually brought my own today that I think should
okay.
be considered.
I agree with you.
Plain
We
potato
have like
chips.
Panera bread,
But those are like kettle chip
kettle
style.
cooked.
Yeah, kettle
right?
cooked.
I think
I feel
still
kettle
better
cooked's
than Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah.
And then of
Jimmy
course,
John's?
Jimmy John's
You know,
Finny chips.
we should go
Matt,
head to head.
These won't make you sick.
We should go head to head on those. Which does Jimmy John's?
I'm going to go
or
with Jimmy
Panera have?
John's on that.
Even
All
the
right.
Finnies.
John, are you
Is that-
eating something already?
I tried the Pringle.
Okay, try the Pringle then.
It's all right. It's the same as it was last time.
Did you guys ever, when you were little, do the duck face with these?
I did
Yeah.
not do that on the podcast
I'm
2 weeks
gonna
ago.
say it tastes a little bit on the stale side.
Hey, okay. I got the results. So trying Pringle,
Okay.
and then moving on to Doritos.
Isn't that like all the social media influencers do? Is their duck face thing?
Yeah.
Oh, those are
that's
lip
true.
fillers.
Yeah. For real.
All right. It's official. Pringles win.
I disagree.
No.
No.
Over Cool Ranch?
Cool Ranch.
Every Dorito beats a plain Pringle.
I'm
And that's-
not
and
a huge
actually-
plain
actually, this
Pringle
is-
fan.
The kids seem to have listened, and they heard our wisdom from the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks.
So what'd they do?
They chose Cool Ranch Doritos over
Okay.
plain Pringles.
David does not
That
like.
is
He's
not
not. He's
wisdom.
not on board.
That is
he's not on
wisdom.
So
board. that idea.
I legitimately think that Cool Ranch Doritos taste like vomit.
I have a question for you, John.
Why do we still care what David thinks about food? He can't taste food.
What would
I think
you?
it tastes like vomit, which is flavorless to me, just
Would-
like my favorite foods.
Would you describe this chip, the Pringle, regular Pringle, right?
Yeah.
No flavor added. Would you describe this as bursting with flavor?
No, it's
That's literally what it says on the top of the can.
so the whole
Bursting
point of
with
a
flavor.
plain chip is that it isn't bursting with flavor. That's the whole point. I also don't know that I believe that Pringles should count as chips because
I think it should be.
they are a baked puree,
But you can do this.
and they're not even sold at the grocery store in the same section as chips. They're always in the snack section, not in the chip section.
They're in the aisle with chips.
They're,
They are.
They're usually with the snack section.
They're with the snack section. At
Not with the
Kroger,
chip
they're in the
section.
snack section because I went to the chip section and I looked everywhere. Where the heck are the
they're
Pringles?
they're more akin to a pretzel than they are to
or
an actual chip.
popcorn or all that kind of stuff. The nuts and everything in the. They're in that aisle. At
Yeah,
Kroger.
I
My
just-
Kroger, at least.
Clearly, I don't like shop in the chip aisle very much. But I
Who
would have
does?
sworn that they were in
Mary
the
Ann?
chip aisle. No, we just don't buy a lot of chips.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you buy
We
Pringles.
do. We have kids, so they want. Okay.
So they made the right decision, I think. Cool Ranch.
Well, we were 2-1 here on ours.
Well, how did Matt vote?
Matt, Doritos or Pringles?
If I could eat them still, Cool Ranch
Thank
Okay.
you.
all day.
All day, every day.
I'm not shocked by this
These
round.
are going to look very similar here.
I got a whole bag of Doritos. I'm pretty happy.
Didn't we just eat these last week?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. These were the two that won from last week.
All right.
But they didn't go head. We didn't do them head to head. So that's why we're doing them.
Looks very displeased.
So
They
I
weren't-
did
they weren't going
notice
as-
that the
yeah.
podcast views
We're low this week.
went from like over 1,000 to like 40.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that this is
is
really
gonna-
resonating.
I don't think the chip contest really matters to
No,
people.
you're right. So
We'll see.
we only
Yeah,
have
the
one
Cool
more to
Let's
go.
get it done then.
Okay, let's try
If we
it.
have to do this.
All right. The taquitos.
Taki? I like them. I don't think they're a chip, but I like them.
I don't understand what it is.
A roll.
And I don't understand why I would like it.
Yeah.
I just,
I don't think you would
I don't
like
think
them.
I'd go out my way to get
I
them.
might actually go Cool Ranch over this. And Cool Ranch tastes like vomit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. From Cool Ranch.
All right. Then try the Flamin' Hot.
Flamin' Hot.
I mean, at this point, Cool Ranch is going to win, aren't they?
I don't know. Takis are so popular with
Do the
this.
kids like this stuff?
They love Takis.
Okay, this is. I mean, when you wonder what's wrong with the younger generations, like
We don't have
they
to look
can't
further.
figure out like what's going on with themselves. They don't know who they are. All yada yada yada. This is what
Okay.
they're eating.
In the Red Food Dye Challenge, which one do you think won? Between the Taki and the
I
Flamin'
think
Hot
Taki
Cheeto.
won, but I would go with the Flamin'
You would
Hot.
choose Flamin' Hot Cheeto?
I would choose
I
the
think
Cheetos.
the Takis won, and that's what I would pick too.
Yeah.
Because they got a little bit of a zesty flavor to them that
I
makes them
think
a little
the
more
flavoring
interesting.
is better. I
If
would
you
agree.
could put the flavoring of the Taki on a Cheeto,
then I would. Yeah.
I don't like either, but I would guess that the Takis would win.
Yep.
Are we really? We're trying these. Okay.
So
You
next,
just said that people weren't interested in this, and now we're like extending it.
Yeah, you know what? Once you're committed, you got to go.
You got to go in.
Yep.
Well, they look very similar here.
So you got the kettle cooked,
So start with the kettle.
and you got the thinny. All right. So we'll go kettle
Kettle
cooked
cooked.
first. Yep. This is going to really crunch.
Yeah.
Panera one.
That's a good potato
It's
chip.
a really good potato
That's
chip.
better than anything but the Pringles that we've
Just
eaten today.
looking at them,
Yeah.
the Panera chip is better.
Yeah. Got a better color. They're a lot smaller. You notice how much smaller those ones are? I don't know if it's a different type of potato, but
Well, they're curled, so like,
I can
if you
also
could
see-
uncurl that. It might be about the same as maybe not that one, but it'd be the
Yeah.
same as this one.
yeah. But they're all very small. But
Trying to thinny.
This has
Okay.
really got to be the worst podcast ever. Just
Nope.
yeah,
So these
Got a
are
nice
actually
crunch.
good. They're really crispy,
yeah. But
and that's good.
still better than that Taki thing.
I think I have a little too
It's
much
an actual
salt.
chip.
Too much salt
Yeah.
for me.
So general
Very
rule
salty.
of thumb in life is reduced fat also equals reduced taste. And
Yeah.
I think that holds true here. I think the Panera chip is definitely the better chip.
Definitely.
Definitely better. Okay.
But I don't think the Jimmy John's chip was bad. I'd eat
was
that
not.
happily.
That's the well, I don't always get that Jimmy John's one, but generally that's the one I go with at Jimmy John's.
So shall we move on to some questions here?
It can't get worse, can it?
It can.
So next week for the
Can't.
finals, we have Takis versus Cool Ranch Doritos.
Takis versus Cool Ranch. So
I
Who's the special guest?
I don't know because I,
think-
won't be here either.
Oh, you're not going to be here next
No.
week? Wait,
won't be here
what are we
next
doing next week?
Well, we
I
have
don't
to.
know.
We got to talk about that.
Are you gone?
So-
Are you actually gone? Or are you
So
just
here's
joking?
the question. We normally film on Mondays.
Yeah.
So Monday is holiday.
You want to film on Tuesday?
Are we real? Let's talk about this later. I don't think the
guys
people
wanna know
care
the
about
inner
our
workings?
schedule.
I don't know. They might.
They might care about our
They
schedule.
might care deeply.
Okay.
I think if they're watching this far in, they care.
Okay.
Right, that's a fair point. If they're still watching, they're probably related to us.
Hey, Mom.
I actually had someone come up to me on Sunday and say how much they liked the last podcast.
Oh, really?
They were related to someone in this room. Nope, they weren't. They were related to someone who was on the podcast. I guess we know who it is.
They're not in this room, and they were.
Was it his dad or mom?
I will protect the innocent on that one, but it was his dad.
Well, let's talk about Romans a little bit here. Let's.
I'm gonna have one more
transition.
Pringle.
Yeah, go.
You go ahead. You do your
Well,
thing.
what do you think, Pringle
No,
versus one of these chips here?
All Pringles.
Oh, okay.
We've already
This is
determined
doubting
David's
your
favorite chip is a plain
life
Pringle.
decisions at this point.
What?
All right, so we just started a series in Romans, which I'm excited about. I love the Book of Romans, so
You could paint this,
Yeah.
like to make this part look like a
it
mountain.
looks exactly like a mountain.
and this part could like look like a meadow.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a cool thing to hang on your wall.
Well, I don't know if I'd hang that on my wall, but I see that it does look like that.
All right, go on.
Yeah, so we're starting the Book of Romans, and this was the first one of our Roman series.
It was.
How far is Romans going to take us? Are we going to be in it for a while?
All 16 chapters.
All 16 chapters. So each week is going to be one chapter.
No.
That's
No,
okay.
No, it's going to take us 3 weeks to get through the first chapter.
Okay, so it's going to take longer than the
So
16
it won't
chapters.
take us. It won't take us like what would that be? 48 weeks.
Yeah.
It won't take us that long.
Okay.
So the schedule
Yeah.
is to take us almost through the end of the year. We'll probably have like some Christmas sermons at the very end of the
Okay.
year, but we'll have a short break in the fall
Yeah.
to do elephants, donkeys,
Right.
sheep, and the lamb remixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we going to say remixed on the?
Yeah.
Can we do like a remix video of it where we like AI make David rap
Remix.
in it?
What if we call it? What if we called it like election year do over?
Well, we just call it everyone's a donkey, but we don't say donkey.
Why is he so angry today?
I don't know.
Did he not get sleep?
He definitely. None of us really got sleep
It was
yesterday.
a long day yesterday.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Yesterday. Well, you're supposed to sleep at night.
I know, but,
Yeah,
that
but-
doesn't really always happen.
To get here on Sunday, I gotta get up when it's still night, and
Yeah.
then I didn't sleep well last night, so it's been a
Yeah.
Did you guys eat too much of the pig?
Yes.
Actually, I think I
It
did.
was fantastic.
I've heard the pig was
the
really
food,
good.
all the food was really
Yeah.
good.
The mac and cheese was really the star of the show, though, which was surprising.
Was there any leftovers of that?
No.
I don't think so.
No, so there was a lot left over because we did a whole hog, so it was huge. So I just went around and said, "Hey, we got." They loaded it up in to-go bags, so I just say, "Hey, if you want lunch, grab one." And pretty much everyone came and took everything, so it was nice. They're gonna get appreciated throughout the week too.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't think to say, hey, let's save a little bit for David.
We did. We saved some for you.
You didn't think of that.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't.
Well, no,
Luckily, Annie
I already
was
heard the story.
Luckily, Annie
Steve
was thinking
did
of
think
it.
of it and then went, nah.
Well, no, I underestimated how much people were going to take because I thought, oh, we'll still never give away all of it. No, it was all gone.
Well, would you have taken it?
Yeah, I probably would have taken some, but my family doesn't really eat the pulled pork, so it would have just been for me. I wouldn't have taken that much.
It's like, the more I take, the more I get.
Right. Yeah, I was going to, but it was all gone, so I was totally fine with it. I did take some green beans home.
I heard there were a few left over.
There was a lot of green beans home. You
literally
guys,
a ton,
if you
I
go to
mean,
the gathering, you need to eat your veggies.
Did people not eat the green beans?
No, they did. People ate the green beans.
There were just a lot of green beans.
There was a lot. I mean, a lot of green beans.
We could do a whole podcast on green beans.
Yeah. These green beans were
be better than potato
soaked in
chips.
bacon grease and
See, that's what I'm talking about.
They
it's
have
like
little,
barely a
There are
veggie.
so many different ways to do
Yeah.
green beans.
They had potatoes. in the green
Potatoes.
beans.
Oh, they were
And,
great.
Jeremy
There's
referred to
still
them
a
as
tub
butter
out there.
nuggets.
But has it been sitting out all
It
night?
has been sitting out all night,
Yeah,
yes.
Do it.
But it's soaked in bacon. It's good. That's a preservative, right?
And this week on the podcast,
It's like
we
honey.
get
It
food
never goes
poisoning.
Does honey never go bad?
Honey never goes bad.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Like real honey.
Real honey.
Real
If it's
honey.
got stuff in it,
Well, yeah, if you've got anything else, but real honey does not go bad. No. It's.
we
I
should
believe that, yeah.
try to find like 1,000-year-old honey or something.
I think they have.
That'd be pretty
maple
cool.
syrup.
I don't know about maple
Wait,
syrup.
isn't that the premise of the original Jurassic Park?
the
like,
no?
don't they find
that's
the-
amber, I think, or some kind of tree sap.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
It's not honey.
Yeah. All right.
So we're talking about Romans. So my question to you:
Is it really that time? Man, this has just been a bad podcast.
Whoa. Feels way longer.
you know, is sometimes if you just say that we're having a great
Maybe-
podcast,
can we put
people
some-
might believe us.
Can we put something in at the beginning that just says something
Disclaimer,
like watch the first
watch-
half on 2 times speed?
Yeah.
All right.
Or watch the
Okay,
whole thing.
sorry.
What is the main point of Romans? What do you think is the main point?
I think the main point of Romans, and I think this is the tagline for the series,
Yeah.
is God's righteousness revealed.
Okay.
Right, and we'll see that word revealed pop up repeatedly throughout
Yeah.
the thing. But it might be more fun to say that the theme of it is just simply God is right,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool because if God is right, then you are.
Yeah. Where would you say that?
He just blows right through. Like I leave him an opening.
Well,
and
you
fill in the
are
blank.
my
dot,
bad.
dot.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say?
Wrong.
What did you say?
I said if God is right, then you are.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Correct.
Can you say that like Donald Trump though?
How does he say it?
Very wrong.
Now, isn't there like is it a GIF or a GIF, whatever we call those things, of him going wrong?
Wrong.
I think it's from the 2016 debates. And he curls his lips all up and he's like
Debates.
wrong. All right.
Do you have a problem with his grammar?
Yeah.
He misuses.
David has a problem with everybody's grammar.
I know,
though,
but
so-
particularly
you're
him.
right. You're right.
He loves his adjectives.
Yeah.
Are you going to cover that in the election
No,
series?
no.
Okay, you're going to avoid it. Okay. So, where would you say that this was revealed to Paul in his time as a Jewish leader, or would you say it was revealed to him in his time when God directly intervened, or then the time that he was studying kind of what it means to actually follow Jesus? Where would you say it was revealed to him, or is he revealing it to the people he's writing to?
I think it's a third option. I think
Okay.
what he's doing is he's pointing out that it's been revealed.
Okay.
So he's like basically saying, look, God's righteousness is on display.
Yeah.
It has been revealed. And he's just making an argument that it's there to be seen, but you're not looking.
Okay.
So
And why is that important? I'm playing
Yeah.
devil's advocate a little bit here.
why is it important?
Yeah.
Well, because you can't, and we'll get to this on Sunday. The whole point of the gospel is that once we realize that God's righteousness is so far beyond ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So God's righteousness being revealed also means that my sinfulness has been revealed, right? Because it's a comparison. It's like dry versus wet. You don't really know that something is wet if you don't understand what dry is.
Yeah.
But once you understand what dry is, now if something is wet, you know it.
Right.
Once you understand what righteousness is, because God's righteousness is revealed, you understand that you're not it.
So is this similar to like with a little kid where, they do something wrong and they don't know it's wrong until you tell them. Would you use a comparison like that?
Not exactly,
yeah.
Because I think that's not really Paul's argument. Paul's argument is more, this is wrong. Maybe I need to help you understand why it's wrong, right? Because he does make the argument from conscience, and we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But he's not. Nowhere in Romans is Paul laying it out and saying this is something new that nobody understands before. What he's doing in Romans is he's tying the whole thing together.
Yeah.
He's taking, what we already know to be true and helping us understand how it all works together to reveal God's righteousness. And then the back end of the book is, now how do we apply this to our lives and how do we live this out?
Okay, so how is this important to someone who's maybe a new Christian?
Yeah, because in it you understand who God is and who you are and why those things matter. So, we'll see in the first couple of weeks here when we talk about God's righteousness being revealed, that right along with that, God's wrath is revealed.
Yeah.
And the reason we need to understand God's wrath is because it's the threat of God's wrath that turns us from our own sinfulness. And when we understand God's wrath as it is, there's two forms of God's wrath, and this is, I don't want to preach this sermon ahead of time, but there's God's wrath that's on display today that is not eternal, and it is intended to turn us from our sin. So it's actually a merciful kind of wrath, in that God reveals our unrighteousness through His wrath, so that we will seek after His righteousness. And so that's why it's important, is because we need to know who He is, so that we can understand who we are and who we could be in Him.
Okay. Good answer.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So we use the word gospel a lot.
Yep.
And so then the question is, what is the gospel, right? We would say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Those are the Gospels.
Are the Gospels.
Yep.
But what is the gospel?
Yep. So
because there's a lot involved in those books.
Yeah, it's a word that's used in lots of ways, and so it literally means good news.
Yeah.
Right. So the Greek is good news.
Yeah.
So it could be gospel of anything. Right. It's good news about that thing. And so when Paul is talking about the gospel, he's talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So when Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are writing, their biographies of Jesus, they call them the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is the good news about Jesus Christ. And so gospel literally means it's the good news. For us, in our context, it's the good news about Jesus. And the good news about Jesus is He has a solution for the bad news about us. And that's what Romans is all about.
Okay.
But we'll talk a lot more about that this Sunday when we talk about the gospel being the power of God for salvation.
Yeah. So there's kind of maybe a little more of a loose term for it, that we say that, the gospel is the good news. So here's, the story of Jesus Christ revealed in the Gospels that were written down about the events that took place. But then there's also the gospel, the good news of the specifics of what and how it affects us and applies to our lives.
Okay.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I think it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the good news about Jesus is that He's an actual historical person who lived, died, rose again, ascended back to heaven, and that has an impact for us because it's through that we achieve, the righteousness of God, and that He declares us righteous because of Jesus' finished work. And we can't understand Jesus' finished work without the four biographical accounts of His life.
Right.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions here is following up is, how can we study Romans more on our own if we want to, so I think there's a lot of applications here to this of are there some books? Are there some podcasts? Are there some, study materials that go along with the Bible? Are there, some tools that we provide for people? How can people? What would you recommend? What are some of your favorites?
So let's run down through a whole bunch of options.
Yeah.
So, I think the starting point is you should be reading it on your own.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do recognize that, and I mentioned this on Sunday, that Paul's writing sometimes feels a little obtuse, and especially in Romans, he gets a little bit lofty in some of his phraseology, and so it can be tough to read, and I get that. It's so you want to read it slowly. You want to read it thoughtfully, but even then you may want to supplement that reading with some other material. So a couple things you can do. In-house, we create the Renew Journal, which is a 5-day study guide. And so this week, on the 5 days, you're going to unpack Romans 1 through 15. We just talked about it on Sunday. And you're going to unpack, a little bit about the gospel and those kinds of things. So that's a really nice resource. Right Now Media, which anybody in our church can have a subscription to, has lots of really good Romans resources. Some of our small groups are currently using them. I know one of our groups is using the J.D. Greer study. And that's something you could do on your own, too, if you have Right Now Media. It's a good study. I think this is underrated. Go to YouTube and watch sermons. Now find trusted Bible teachers who are going to teach the Bible well. So a couple names. Skip Heitzig is really good. And he'll walk you through the book of Romans. Tony Evans is really good. I mentioned J.D. Greer. These are all really good guys. Chuck Swindoll is a really good guy. These are all names of people who you can go to YouTube, type in their name, type in Romans, and you'll get a lot of really good resources there. I think that's another really great way to study.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other idea I was going to add in here is which translation you're reading also can really help. So there are some translations that, so like ESV, we use that a lot here. It's a much more literal word-to-word translation. And so sometimes when you're dealing with Paul and that style of translation, it just seems to get really cumbersome. But there are some translations like the NIV, the NLT that are much more suited for reading. And so, if you're having a hard time understanding something, maybe try a different translation and see if that clears it up a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The ESV is really good if you want to dig into the words themselves, and that's what I use, and that's kind of just force of habit a little bit. But I'd highly recommend in Romans the NIV, and the NLT as well. NLT is probably not quite as word for word accurate, but it's still thought for thought accurate, and so that's helpful. And a great way to read all of these is on the YouVersion Bible app, right, which you can download from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. And then you go to our church event, our live events, and there's actually every week in there, if you scroll all the way down, there's a recommended Bible study that will also take you through Romans. Like the one that's currently in there is a 16-day study of the book of Romans. So that's another place to go.
Well, if you get on the Bible Gateway, or I think even maybe the Bible app, you can do it where you can do parallel. You can put them right next to each other. You can do different ones that you want. But also, one thing that I like a lot, I've mentioned it before, is the Bible Project, where you can go in and get an overview. So they may even have one on Romans. I don't know, they've been doing a lot more. I'm not sure all the ones that exist where they go a little more in depth into Romans, but I know that they have an overview of Romans, but I know they've branched out beyond that. But that's a great place to get a bigger picture of what's going on in Romans. And then I always personally like, especially if I'm using like the NLT, is I have like a study Bible that I use. So if I'm reading through it and I'm not quite sure what exactly they're talking about, that I can go down to my study notes and get a quick understanding. And then if I need to go dig deeper, I can do that as well. So those are great ways to supplement it.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, anything else about Romans that you want to add? This is your chance.
Well, no, I mean, they're going to have to listen to me for the rest of the year. I talk about Romans, so I've got a lot to add.
Lots to say. Well, yeah.
So I did hear you're dressing up as a Roman soldier.
That's down the road. Down the road.
You just have to show up.
You never know when it's going to be.
And knight of armor too. One time. No. Okay.
Put on the full armor of God.
We're not doing Ephesians.
Okay. We're not going to reference it. All right, gotcha. Okay, well, thanks for joining us. I may or may not be here next time we do this, and David may or may not be here, so it's just going to be random.
It's going to come down to whether or not there's chips.
Whether there's chips or not, there will be chips.
Welcome to the Gathering Greenhouse, where we pick John's brain.
John is just going to be here by himself.
And now we're done.
And
crickets.
Cut to commercial.
Crickets.
Well, thanks for joining us. And if you want to know who the winner is of the Chip Challenge, you're going to need to come back next week to
I think
figure
we're
that
all
out.
the losers in this challenge.
We are. We'll see you later.